Hey, it's Rachel from Cypress Textiles, and today I'm going to show you how to do a continuous joining method with these partial motifs. In part one, we made the motif and we squared it off, and now we're ready to do a continuous join demo so that your blanket will come out looking like this with all the squares very neatly joined together. And this little twist is going to be made with my PLT join. Except in every other stitch instead of in every stitch. Usually when you see PLT join, you see it in every stitch, but sometimes I like to do it in every other just to make this kind of loose little twist here, and I think it looks nice. So I'm going to start by saying if you're going to join your motifs, you need to lay them out in the array that you're wanting to join them. I'm just going to use 9 motifs because with 9 motifs, I can show you everything you need to know about this join. So these 9 motifs, you're going to have your first row of squares, your second row of squares, and your third row. You're going to start joining at this top square, and then we're going to join on this second square, and then basically if you're going to have more squares than just 9, so all of your other squares in this row are going to be joined just like this second one. And then when you get to the last one, you're going to join it on just like this one. So that's why I can use 9. And then next we're going to join on this square, and we're going to go up the row and join them on, and you'll see what I mean. But whatever you do with this middle square, you're going to do with all of the squares in this row until you get to the top one, and so on. So you'll learn all the techniques that you need to join your squares, even though I'm just using 9, because whatever, you're just gonna keep going down the row, and I'll show you what I mean when we get there. But we're gonna start in the top right corner of your blanket. So just whatever square is at the upper right-hand corner, and if you're left-handed, you need to flip all of this and start here if you're left-handed. So my blog post on this joining technique has a lot of information. It has a diagram and everything, and you'll just have to flip everything if you're left-handed. So for righties, just go ahead and start in this top corner, and we're gonna join our background yarn on. So I'm using Scabious Our Tribe in Hawk Maroc, and that's the same color that I used for my squaring off. So I'm going to just insert my hook and join my yarn with a slip stitch into this corner space. And then we're going to make a beginning double crochet. So I've got my single crochet, chain 1, and now we're going to chain 3 for the corner. All right, so you've got single crochet, chain 1, that's our first double crochet of the round, and then chain 3 for the corner. Now we'll make 2 double crochet in the same chain space. Okay, 2 doubles, and now we're just going to work double crochet across all of these stitches at the top. And I'm going to be working over my yarn tails, so I'm just going to make my double crochets and work over my yarn tails at the same time until I get to the next corner. And I'm still working over my yarn tail, and I've got my corner coming up here, so I'm going to do 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet, all in my corner chain space. Okay, there we go. And now I've got my corner made, and then I'm just going to do the same thing and work across with double crochet in all of the stitches going across, and I'm going to make my same corner in my next chain space as well. All right, now I have 2 sides completed, and I'm ready to make my third side here. I'm just going to make double crochet in all the stitches across until I get to this next corner chain space. All right, so now I'm at the 4th corner chain space. So I started here, I worked around the top, around the side, and around the bottom, and I'm at my 4th corner chain space here. I'm going to make 2 double crochet in that chain space, and then I am done with this first square. So I'm not going to work across this top side here. I'm going to leave it with 2 double crochet in the corner chain space, and then I'm going to chain 3. And now my motif here is going to be just like this. Okay, and now I'm ready to join on this square. So I have it positioned this way because I'm going to pick up my second square and I'm going to keep going. So I'm not going to be working on this first motif anymore. I'm going to yarn over because I'm going to make a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over and go straight into this corner chain space with 2 double crochet. All right, so here's how we're looking here. It's going to feel wonky, but once you get the hang of joining this way, it's so worth it and you'll love it. So the first stitch, I'm going to make my double crochet, and then I'm going to release the loop from the hook, and this is going to be my PLT or pull loop through join. So I'm going to be releasing the loop from the hook, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 stitches here. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 stitches on this side here on my completed motif, and then insert my hook front to back through that 3rd stitch, and then grab my loop and pull the loop through to the front of the work. And that loop is going to join the motifs together. So that's why it's called PLT, because you pull the loop through to the front. And now we're going to yarn over because we're going to make a double crochet in the next stitch. So you don't chain, you just keep going with the next stitch. So now I'm going to make 2 double crochet, 1 and then the next one in the next stitch. All right, because I'm going to make PLT after every other stitch. So I'm going to remove my loop from the hook. I'm going to make sure I count 1, 2 stitches to make sure I keep track of where I am. Grab the loop, pull the loop through. Then make my next 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, 1 in the next stitch, and then release the loop from the hook, insert my hook front to back, grab my loop and pull it through. Okay, I'm going to keep going across, and I'm not going to cut away this time just because I want you to kind of watch how this looks in real time. And if you go to my blog post, which I highly recommend, you can see the diagram with this on it. Okay, and you can see how the square is getting joined together with this cute little twist in the middle. We're going to keep going. We're almost at the end. And my last 2 double crochet for the side up until we get to that chain space. So now I'm going to PLT. All right, now that is all the PLT I'm going to be doing on the side. So now I'm going to make my 2 double crochet in my corner chain space, 1 and 2, chain 3, and 2 double crochet in the same chain space, and then I'm going to step back and show you. All right, so notice I didn't join my corner, and that's because we're going to join it when we come up on part 2. So this is kind of like what I call part 1 of this join. So if you go to the blog post, you'll see what I mean. So I'm just joining the first row of squares for part 1, and you're moving down the squares, making like a C around each square. So you're going to be going like down your row until you have all of your motifs joined except for your last motif. So the first side of this motif is joined now. And how continuous join as you go works is you're kind of faking the look of the full join. So you're faking the look of the full square, but you're just mimicking that with stitches. So you're going to come back around, for example, when we're finished, we're going to come back around and finish this right here, and it's going to look like we've joined them individually, but we haven't. So we're going to keep going around this square until we get to this bottom corner with just working plain without joining at all. All right, so I've worked around my second motif for 2 sides, and I have a chain 3 here, and I'm ready to pick up my next motif. So for you, your blanket is going to be more than 3 motifs long. So you're going to just join your next motif and go around 3 sides, just like you did with this one. So you're going to join every single motif in this row except for the last one, just like you did this one with 3 sides, and you're gonna go just like a C and just keep going until all of your motifs are joined except for your final motif. All right, so once you have all of those joined, just like you joined this one on, you're gonna have them all in a long line, a long row, and then you're gonna pick up your final motif. And the only thing we're gonna do differently is we're gonna join on the top side and we're gonna work one side and then we're gonna stop. And I'll show you how that looks. So I have my motifs lined up. I'm gonna grab my loop again because I'm gonna start working. And I'm gonna take a yarn over because I'm gonna do double crochet in the top corner. So 2 double crochet. This is just like you joined on your previous motifs. And then 1 double crochet in the first stitch. Okay, now we're gonna start making PLT. So count to your 3rd stitch and grab your loop, pull it to the front, and then just do the exact same join. Make your 2 double crochet in a row and pull your loop to the front, and then 2 double crochet again, pull your loop to the front, 2 double crochet, oops, in a row if I can, and grab my loop, 2 double crochet, grab my loop. All right, and then we've got to do it 2 more times. 2 double crochet, and then we've got 1 more, 2 double crochet. Okay, and now we're at the corner, and so we're going to go ahead and do our final PLT of the side. There we go. Pull it to the front. Okay, now make your corner like normal. 2DC, chain 3, 2DC, all in this corner chain space without joining at all. And then we're going to work double crochet across all the stitches on the side, and then end with 2DC in this next corner chain space, and then we're done with our row. So after I make all of these double crochet, we're completely finished joining all of the motifs on this row. And I would call that, on my written pattern, in my blog post, I call that the end of kind of part 1 of this join, because that's going to be all of your first row joined on in this long column of squares. All right, so I'm almost at the side here. All right, so you can see I've got my first motif here with 3 sides, and then my second motif and all the remaining motifs until you get to the final one are with 3 sides as well, with the top side joined on. And then my final motif of my row is going to be the top side joined, and then the side worked plain, and then 2 double crochet in the corner chain space, and then 3 chains. And now I'm done with my first row of motifs here. So now I'm going to pick up my next, my bottom motif of my second row. So this is going to be how my second row are joined on, and they're going to look like little flags kind of hanging off the side. I'm only going to join up one side of all these motifs, and I'm going to show you what I mean by little flags in just a minute. So I'm going to pick up my bottom motif of my second row and then make 2 double crochet in that first corner chain space. I'm going to work over my yarn tail here. So I'm going to just make my 2 double crochet, and I'm going to join this side just like I've been joining. So I'm going to make another double crochet in that first treble, and then go ahead and find my 3rd stitch on my previous motif, pull my yarn through, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish joining this side. And you're just going to join the side just like you've been joining the side all in these previous motifs. Okay, so I've joined my side here, and then I've put my 2 double crochet in my corner chain space. And now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do at the corner now. So just for this moment, I'm going to make 1 chain, and then I'm going to remove my loop from the hook, and I'm going to pick up the, with my hook front to back, through the diagonal corner chain space. So I'm going to ignore this corner chain space completely. I'm going to pick up this one here, go from front to back through that chain space, and then grab my loop and PLT. Pull the loop and then make 2 chains. Okay, so that is all I'm going to do for that first square. And that now I've traveled up to where I'm able to start working on my next motif. So for all of your motifs that are in the row up until the final top motif, you're going to work it just like this second one, just like the middle one. So just go ahead and put 2 double crochet in the first corner chain space, and then join your side to the next motif. So I've got my first stitch there. Now I've got my 3 double crochet. Count 1, 2, 3 on your next motif, and join the side just like normal. Okay, and you can see how it's going to be joining. This side is going to be joining to this side, just like we did this one here. Okay, I've joined the side, and I've got 2 double crochet in the chain space, and I'm going to again chain 1, release my loop, pick up this diagonal chain space, pull my loop through, and chain 2 to finish my corner there. So that is how your motifs are going to look, like little flags hanging off your blanket, because this side is not worked, it's not joined. You're only working one side going up your blanket. So just make all of your remaining motifs in this column going up your blanket and until you get to your top motif, and then you're just going to join it on in the same way. We're just going to change a little bit how we do our corner when we get to the top, so that's why this motif is different. So we're going to keep going and join this side just as before. I wanted to zoom out and show you a little bit how this is going so far. So this is how your blanket is going to look at this point. At the top of the blanket, I have my 2 double crochet worked in this corner chain space, and now I'm going to chain 1, and then when I make my PLT, I'm going to do it directly in this adjacent corner, and that's because I'm at the top of the blanket. So where it's at the outside of the blanket across the top, you're going to go ahead and join your squares right away. You're not going to leave it unjoined. And then you're just going to work your 2 double crochet in the corner and continue across the side, making double crochet in all of the stitches. All right. Okay, so I worked across the top in double crochet, and I've got my 2 double crochet in the corner chain space. And now I'm just going to chain 3 and finish my corner with 2 double crochet. Okay, so just make your corner like normal. And then work across the next side, all double crochet. And in your next corner, you're going to make a regular 2 double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet corner as well. All right, you can see how it's looking. I've got my corner finished here with 2DC, chain 3, 2DC, and I'm going to work across this bottom side, and you're basically making the same C shape that you made for this first motif, but you're going to do a little something different in the corner, because now we're ready to make this corner look like a regular corner in a join as you go that's not continuous. So we're just going to fake this corner, make it look like a regular corner. You can see here that whenever you're done, your corner just looks like it's 4 squares joined together on the final round without being continuous. And that's what we're going for here. So I'm going to work across this side here until we get to this corner, and I'll show you what to do. All right, so I've worked across this bottom side here with double crochet, and I have 2 DC in this corner chain space. All right, when I was working this motif, I had it held like this, and I put my 2 double crochet in that chain space. So now I'm ready to see what I'm going to do for this corner. I'm going to chain 1 and release my loop. Now, I have it oriented like this, and I can see my corner. So I have my chain 1, I release my loop, I hold my blanket like this, and I go front to back through this. I've got these 2 corner chain spaces that I'm going to work into. Front to back through this one, and then front to back through the next one. So I go through both of them. So I'm just going to go through this one and then through this one. All right. And now I'm underneath this chain space as well. So whenever you work this, you're just going to be going quick like this. Just go down through here, and then grab your working loop. And then bring it through all of this. I stretched it out, but you won't do that. Just keep it normal, and then make your chain. And chain again. So you're going to make 2 chains after that, after you pull your loop through. And now you're ready to work into this motif. So you're just going to make 2 double crochet. See how you already have 2 double crochet here from before? So you're just going to finish that corner and make 2 double crochet. So we're just faking it here. We're faking a real corner. So now you see how it looks just like a regular corner. Immediately when I put the 2 double crochet here, it just looks like I've got my chain coming from here, but I'm not. I just cobbled this together. So these 2 double crochet were made before, but I'm finishing the corner with 2 double crochet, and then I'm going to work double crochet into my first treble stitch there, and then release my loop, and you guessed it, we're going to join across this top. So this is what we're looking like now. Okay, and our next move is going to be to join this side. So we've made our corner, and it looks pretty decent. It's like a decent fake. That's why I like doing my corners like this when I do my continuous join, because it looks the most like a real corner that we've done where we do individual squares. So now I'm just going to join my side, and I'm going to come back and show you how that looks once my side is joined. You can see the corner a little bit better. All right, I just wanted to show you how this looks with my side joint here, and you can see that I didn't, you can see that I didn't join this side here because we're still in the center of our blanket. Once we get to the final row of squares, we will link up that join just like we did up here with this one, because it would be on the perimeter. But for now, this is still, there's still going to be another row of squares here. So here's how the corner looks when you join in this manner. And it's a perfect dupe for 4 squares joined normally. And it really does look like this chain is all part of the same 2DC, chain 3, 2DC. But remember, we made this 2DC when we were joining up the line of squares here. And we made this 2DC just now when we finished our little corner. So it comes out looking great, and I really love it. It doesn't have any hints of being 4 separate squares. Okay, looks really nice. All right, so now we're going to keep going on the bottom edge of this, and then I'm going to do the exact same corner move here in the corner when I get to it. Okay, so here I am. I'm in the exact same spot as before. I've worked across my side. I've got a chain 1. I have released the loop from my hook. I'm going to go down through this top corner here and down through this lower corner here, just like that, and go underneath everything, grab my loop and pull it through, just like that, and then make 2 chains. All right, now I'm ready to make 2 double crochet on the next motif. Okay, and before I keep going here, I just want to say, your blanket is going to be longer than mine. Like I said before, mine only has 3 motifs because it's just a demo. So you will have several more squares in a line here. So you're going to join them all just like you did this center one. And every single square in the middle of your blanket is going to be joined just like this one. And then we're gonna pretend like this is the final square of your blanket. So now we're ready to work the final square. All we're gonna do is join across this top and then work one side, just like we did for this one. You're just gonna work down to here. So these two edges, this edge here and the bottom edge of your blanket are gonna be like raw edges. We're gonna work around them at the end of our join. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, I'm just gonna join across the side, make my corner. I'm not gonna link up my corner yet. I'm just gonna make my corner and then work down one side and chain 3, and I'll show you when I get to that point. Okay, I've zoomed out a little bit so I can show you how it's looking, and I have chain 3 down here, and I'm ready to do a repeat of this part here where I went up the blanket to join on this next row of motifs. So for you, you've got several more rows of motifs left, and you're ready to join them on just like you did this middle row. So you're going to do them exactly the same way. You're not going to join these corners on the outer edge, and you're going to join these corners right here to finish them. And that's where my blanket is. My main blanket is in that, at that part. So I've got 6 rows already all joined up, and I still have 4 more rows to join. So I've got all of this middle joins here, and then just on the outer join I haven't linked them up yet because I still have rows to join to it. So now we're just going to pretend like you've got all of your rows joined. So just join all your middle rows, and you're going to join the very last row of motifs onto your blanket. So we're going to join up the one side of them all until we get to the top of the blanket, and that's just like we did before. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then show you how it looks when they're all joined on again. Okay, I'm zoomed out again, just to show you how you'll be joining on for this part going up the blanket. And remember, for the corner, you've just got a chain 1, and then you're going to join with PLT to this corner. This corner is going to be left dangling because we're going to deal with that later, remember? So PLT in this corner and chain 2, and then just keep going up this side. And once you get to the top, you've got to link your corner right away. So you'll just do chain 1, PLT in this corner, and chain 2. Okay, so the top of your blanket, you can see that the squares are already linked up. All right, and this is a beautiful join in the back. Even looks really pretty. It's nice and flat. So you can see that it's just a really nice join. So now I'm in the middle of working across the top here. I'm just gonna join these exactly just as I've joined all of my middle rows, except for me, this is my last row of squares. So when you're on your last row of squares, the only difference is you're gonna link up these corners here. So before, you've worked your corner and you leave it unjoined. Well, since this is our final row of squares and we're on the outside of our blanket, you're gonna go ahead and join these corners up whenever you work this side. So when I work around here, I'm gonna make my corner, come in here and do my special corner move, join my side, and then link my corner. All right, and I will show you how it looks once I've done the first square and the second square, so I can show you how it joins up in the corner. And then once we get down to the bottom, I'll show you what to do to finish these last 2 sides of your blanket. And then once we get to this corner, we are done. So I'll also show you kind of the path that we took and everything. And if you want more information, you can go to my blog post. But for now, I'm just gonna work these squares and show you how it looks. All right, now here's how it looks where you've got your final row of squares here and you've linked up your corner. So I just wanna show you how it looks. So you see along the top side and along the side, you've got your corners linked. Okay, so I'm just about to do this final one, and then I'm gonna stop when I'm down here because then I feel like that's a good time to stop and explain what I'm gonna do on the bottom edge and on the side edge as well. All right, so now at this point, all of your squares will be joined together, and all you have left to do is go across the side and up to the top. So I want to take a moment to show you the path that you've taken on your blanket. So you've started in the top right corner, and you're going to join like this, like make your C's, and then at the end, stop right here, then go up and join your motifs like so they make little flags. Just join one, and then make your C's again down the blanket all the way down until you get to your final square, and join two sides. And then on your next row of motifs is going to be a middle row again. You're not going to be at the end already because you don't just have three, but you're going to go up your blanket again and then join in threes again. And then when you get to the final row of your blanket, you're going to connect your sides here whenever you come down and join. That's the only difference on this last one, is that you go ahead and connect up your corners. And then you're down at the bottom, and then you're just going to go across all the bottom and across all the side up to the top, where you can join with a slip stitch and cut your yarn. So I'm going to turn this around because we're going to work across this bottom edge, but obviously we're going to turn it around like this to work across it. Okay, and all we're going to do is just work across the side, and you're curious what you do right here where you've got this chain 3. Okay, so once I get there, I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, I worked across my side with my double crochet stitches, and I made 2 double crochet in the corner chain space to finish the corner. Now I'm going to chain 1 and just slip stitch into this chain 3 space. Just make a slip stitch and then chain 1. And now we're going to make 2 double crochet in the next corner chain space. And I'm going to start working on the side, so just so I can kind of back up and show you how that looks with that slip stitch in the chain 3 space there. Okay, so here's how that looks. So it doesn't look like the best fake of 2 actual corners joined together. It does have a little bit of a look to it with a slip stitch there, but once you add I like to add a single crochet round after I do join this way. So once you add that round, you will never be able to tell that this wasn't just 2 corners linked up. So I'm just going to keep going and just do the exact same thing. And you are just going to do, once you get to your absolute blanket corner, you're just going to do 2 DC, chain 3, 2 DC, just like always. And then once you go up this side of the blanket, you're just going to slip stitch into this chain 3 space. So that's all you do when you get to your corner. Chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, and then just keep going with 2 DC in the next chain space, and just keep going. So when I do my single crochet round, I make one single crochet in the corner, and then I do a decrease over this corner in the next with single crochet DC 2 together over these 2 chain spaces, and then I do one more single crochet. If that's too confusing, you can always do 2 singles in this corner and 2 singles in this corner, and then just keep on going when you make your single crochet round. All right, so I finished working across my 2 sides. I did my chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, and continue. And I'm at the beginning now of my little mini demo blanket. So I've made 1 double crochet in my corner now, because when I made my beginning DC, that was the first DC of my corner. So now I've got my 1 double crochet here. I'm going to slip stitch into the chain of my double crochet, and I'm going to cut my yarn, and that is it. I'm just going to pull my yarn through, and like I said before, I like to do a single crochet round. Obviously at this point I'm not going to, because I'm just going to add this little demo onto my main blanket. But I would make a single crochet round after this, and after that you can literally add any border to this. So I believe this is a really great join, and it does make like a net for your motifs so that they just line up really nicely, and when you block it out, you don't have all these wonky squares to block, because everything is very rigid and it has really good integrity. And if your blanket, somebody's playing tug of war with your blanket, you don't have loose ends coming out at the corners because you don't have yarn tails cut at the corners. Every corner is just completely solid. And I would say that this is faster than joining one at a time also, because every time you cut the yarn, it's like you're coming to a stopping point. So you're more likely to get up, get distracted. But if you're joining an entire row at once, you're more likely just to go ahead and finish that row, and then that's your stopping point, so that you can get distracted at that point versus having to get distracted 100 little times. So for me, this is a lot faster than joining individual squares. So I hope you guys like this continuous join featuring my PLT join maneuver. If you liked it, you can give this video a like, you can subscribe to see more, but I'll save this in my playlist called Joining Methods, and I hope you enjoyed it and make yourself a gumball blanket. Of course, you can use this join for any square that has an odd number of stitches on the side, and it'll work as long as you've got your odd number of stitches. This join will work. So for any size square, it'll be totally great to use. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.